Wolford joined us in August of 1969. I was on. We just got out of Death Valley. It was the end of August, going into September. September 1, we humped back to Ross, and we had a lot of new guys because we lost quite a few guys out there. So one of my brothers who was in my squad, Cowboy, he said to me as we're cleaning our weapons, we got back to Ross, LZ Ross. He says, Jervis, are you thinking what I'm thinking? And I looked at him like, I don't know what the hell you're thinking. He says, well, you remember back in March, we said that we were going to R&R together in Sydney, for your birthday in September. All right. And he says, if we hit another Death Valley, we might not make it. And I looked at him and I started thinking. So I told the squad leader at that time, I was a fire team leader. I said to the squad leader, get up there and tell the LT, we want to go now. We ain't wait until the end of the month. We want to go now. Well, he went up and back 3 or 4 times. The LT saying, well, we lost too many men. We can't send both of them guys at the same time. So finally, Lip said, well, listen, if we send them both and get them back at the same time, it's going to benefit us. So then the LT looked at him and says, I don't care. Do whatever you want to do. So Cowboy and I, we go to Australia. We come back. Well, I come back. He's still in Australia because he came down with a bad case of malaria. And I noticed we got some new faces and everything. So Lip come over and he said, this is Donahoe. He belongs to you. So I, asked him a lot of questions. You got to evaluate your man and see where the weaknesses and strengths are. And strength. So I said, listen, he liked to hunt. You like to trap, which is good as a point man. That's a position you can't teach. Either you have it inside of you or you don't have it. And if you don't have it inside of you, you don't walk the point. So I said to him, listen, you're in my fire team. You're right behind me. And I always wanted to have the new guys next to me anyhow, so I can keep an eye on. Because you don't know how they're going to respond, and when you hit the shit. So he's walking behind me, and I'll tell you, he's doing an excellent job, into September, So now, like I said, we just got out of Death Valley. We're going into October. And I said to Lip, I said, listen, you're getting short. Get out of the bush. Go try to get in some school. Take it next to R&R. Now, the thing with R&R was, division would give extra R&Rs to the company that had the most confirms in that month. We had
confirmed kills.
Yes, yeah. We always had the highest confirmed rating as far as kills in 2-7. But a lot of the guys, they wanted to save their money to buy a new car when they got home, So nobody wanted to take second and third R&Rs. So I finally convinced them. And he said, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I said, don't worry about it. I got the guys, it'll be fine. So now we're coming up to October 3rd. And one of the guys come down and they said, they want to see you up in the CP, Jers. And he jokingly said, what the hell did you do? I'm like, I didn't do shit. So I go up to the CP and Lieutenant Valance, Charles Valance is there. And we got a new captain, Captain K, who I knew from Meade. He was with Golf Company at the time. He was a platoon commander. Now he made captain. We had no officers. So he was doing his last bid, that they usually do in the rear. They sent him back to us because we had no officers. So, I'm sitting in there and they said, well, Valance said, you broke him in when he first came. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, it was a job, but we broke him in and everybody laughed. He came January 1, 1969, New Year's Day. So he said, well, he highly recommends you to take over the platoon. And I looked at him And he said, because you got the experience, you broke him in, and all the guys respect you. So you're going to take first platoon. I wasn't too happy, but, okay, no problem. Somebody's got to step up to the plate. He said to me, we're going on an operation today. I'll call you back up in about an hour. We'll go over all the procedures. I said, no, not a problem, sir. So I go back down, and the guys are looking like, what's up? What happened? Did you do something? You in trouble? What? And I said, nah, I got good news and I got bad news. And they said, well, we're always getting bad news. What's the good news? I said, the good news is this. Lippy's not going on, or Lip's going to rotate. He's going back home. And everybody was happy for him. And someone said, and what's the bad news? And I looked at them all and I said, you're stuck with me. And a few guys said, well, we can live with that, jurors, blah, blah, blah. So about 45 minutes later, they called me, says, get back up to the CP. They want to see you. Now I go up there, and there's two new lieutenants. I've never seen these guys before. And I'm standing there. So I look at Valance, and I said, who are these guys? And they said, they just came in and blah, blah, blah. All right, whatever. So now we're going over all the procedures on this operation. And they said, you're going to land dead top center on Parrot. That was the code name for the mountain that we were going to, land on top of. And it was Hill 953. Now, 953 is the home base of the 36th NVA Regiment. They're the elite of the elite as far as the NVA. Now, it was beginning of monsoon. And it was raining like cats and dogs. The fog was so thick. You couldn't even see your hand in front of your face, honestly, okay? So I'm thinking they're going to scrub this, because they're not going to send these guys out in this. Well, when they told me about the operation on 953, I looked over at Lieutenant Valance, and these two new lieutenants, they're out there and they're writing all this info. And I said to him, they don't have a clue, do they? And he said, no. That's why you got the lead. You got the lead chopper. So at that point, and we only had one machine gun. We lost the other machine gun on Mead River. Our machine gunner was Tom Brown. And an RPG came in and we just humped it just for parts, spare part, and that's it. Like I said, we never got the supplies that we really and truly needed. Okay. So we would confiscate from the Army or wherever, And I'm thinking, they're going to scrub this. They're not going to send these birds up there. Well, we could hear them coming in, but we couldn't see them. Now, we're all out on the tarmac there. And finally, the one chopper lands, and I can see the crew chief out at the ramp. So I walk over to him, and he said, are you lieutenant? And I said, no, I'm an E4, but I'm acting platoon commander. He goes, oh, okay. So he says, well, let's get your men loaded up and let's get moving. And so I waved them over, let's go, saddle up. Where's my men? They love to hear, saddle up. So we get on the bird and I'm checking all their equipment to make sure they got everything. We get on it and we start taking off. Well, it was a short hop from Ross to 953. Not even 3 minutes out, and we're getting dinged. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, man, it was terrible.
The small arms fire?
Small arms, yes, all AK. So now we're hovering just around 953. We couldn't land because it was that bad. So we're hovering about maybe 8 feet above. And the ramp comes down, and I just said, keep her head and ass down, okay? 360, we'll regroup. So everybody, and not one man hesitated. Everybody, we jumped off. When we got up there was 3 machine gun nests and 14 NVA. So we had to eliminate them. That was the biggest threat right there. So I gave the order, and 3 of the guys took out the 3 machine gun nests, and we eliminated those 14 NVA. Now, the 3 guys that did that was Wilford Donahoe, John Cox, and a guy by the name of Bob Wolf. So now the topic belongs to us. It's secure. I get on the net and I call it in. The LZ is secure. Send the next bird. Now, I only had 18 men with me on that chopper. So the second bird comes in. Same thing. They're getting peppered, probably even harder. And 3 guys, they were able to jump off the same way. They couldn't land. They jumped off out of the bird onto the deck. Now, the good thing about that was with all the rain, it was mud, nothing but mud. So it kind of softened the blow as we jumped out of that. The one guy who was a radio man, who I worked with him on Meet and also Telecom and Al Harron. So right away I said, "Man, Al, what the hell are you doing?" He goes, "Well, we knew you were here, Jers, you know." So I said, "I'm glad you're here, but man, you're nuts, you know." And I said, "Well, I'm going to utilize you as my radio man." Now, my radio man, I told him, "You stay with the squad." So we went and we destroyed the machine guns and all the weapons that was up there off the 14 NVA. And I hear this stand by. All right. So this was going on all day now. Stand by, stand by. They didn't know what to do with us, basically. Okay. So we go into that. Well, actually, I said to Al, come with me. We got to go tell the guys what we're up against. I always wanted my guys to know, no surprises, you know. So we went around to each guy and we told them, listen, we're getting these standbys. I don't like being idled in one place in Vietnam. You got to keep moving. And they all knew that and they understood that. So now the second day and night goes by and everybody was on watch 24/7. Nobody slept, and because they had spider holes all over that hill.
EVA did.
Yes, and they could have popped up if you fell asleep, cut your throat, go back in, you never even knew it. So everybody understood that. So everybody was up, all day, all night. Second day goes by, same thing. I would go around, make sure, everybody was, okay, and checking on everybody. And the one thing that everybody would say to me is, Jers, are we going to get off this hill? Are we going to make it? Now, I'll be honest with you. I didn't think we were. But I couldn't let them know that. I just couldn't do that. And I would reassure them, absolutely, we're getting off this. Don't worry about it. So now comes the 5th. And Al calls me over. He says, Jers, I'm getting a transmission from hotel. I said, all right. So I pick up the net and I said, send your transmission. And he said to me, it was a major. I didn't know who this guy was, but he said, son, you're between a rock and a hard spot. We can't come up to you. You got to come down to us. The LZ is closed. It's too hot. Well, I looked at Al and he looked at me and we just shook our heads. They wrote us off. They thought they would never, ever see us again, which made me even more determined. Okay. So I went over to third squad and I said to a guy, Paul Di Benedetto, who I nicknamed Pizza. And I said, you got the squad. Oh, okay, Jared, no problem. And I said, listen, Donahoe's been walking behind me. He's been doing one hell of a job. In fact, he picked up things that I might have missed. So I said, I want him taking this down. And I can hear Pizza telling Donahoe, and he was all happy. In fact, this was his first kill on that first day when he took out those machine gun nests. So he was, you know, pretty uppy and
It was Donahoe's first.
yes. So he was getting a little gungy. So I hollered over at Pizza, tell him to get his head out of his ass, square himself away, because this is no cakewalk. So finally, Pisa said to Donahoe, Jersey's giving you this opportunity, don't let him down. And I told everybody, even that night, if you hear something, frag it. Do not open up with your small arms. They know we're here. They don't know where we are. And by using your small arms, that muzzle flash would give your position away. So everybody knew that and understood that. So now, normally, I would always tell the guys, spread it out. You know, I went intervals in between everybody. Well, being that we're so foggy, you couldn't see, like I said, your hand in front of your face. I called up Frenchie, Carlton Carbonet, who was my backdoor Charlie man, and he was probably one of the best I've ever seen at that position. And I said to Frenchie, give me the rope. And he goes, you're carrying the rope? Sure. I'm like, give me the rope. So he dropped the rope, and I took it and I tied it on the back of Donahoe's pack. And I went to every man and I said, pick up that rope and hold on to it. Because if we lose somebody, I'm not coming back for you. And I'm not losing nobody. I said, I don't care if you think you're back in kindergarten, you're on a class trip. You will hold on to that rope. And with that, I said to Pisa, start traveling. Let's go. Take us down. They started moving out. Now, I went back towards the center because I had, 20 other guys that I'm responsible for. I could not walk that point, which I regret. Uh, and as I start moving back, and I'm telling everybody, asshole to belly button. I want it close and tight. I don't want to lose nobody. With that being said, he gets down about 20 feet, and I can hear the 16 going off, and I hear AKs returning. Well, it was so muddy. Al Harron and myself, we're trying to get to the front, but we're slipping and falling down. Finally, I went on the side and we came up, and Doc was standing over top of Donahoe. And he just looked up at me and he shook his head. It's gone. Now, we eliminated the NVA that was setting up that ambush. We killed all the NVA that was there. And I just pulled my poncho out and I threw it on the deck. And I said, get into the poncho, snap them together. I told two other guys, go cut down bamboo poles. So now I have to call it in. I got a KIA, and I did. Well, Colonel Pippa thought it was a WIA who was with the Purple Foxes. And he made 5 attempts trying to get in, to get Dono. And on the last attempt, he lost his crew chief, which was his best friend.
The NVA got the crew chief.
Yeah,
Shot the crew chief.
you know, they couldn't, they didn't know where we were. I didn't know where we were. We couldn't shoot an azimuth. We couldn't get any direction whatsoever. All I knew was we were on top. We had to go to the bottom. But being that I did many patrols out in that area, and they used to have a waterfall off of 953. And when I tell you, it was probably the cleanest and coldest water I ever had in Vietnam. So I would go out of my way, half a click or so just to go get that water, with the guys. And I knew that they hit that with B-52s every day. We'd be in Antenna and we could hear and feel the ground shaking from the B-52s hitting 953. So half of that mountain was blown away by the waterfall. So I knew if we could get to that side of the mountain, instead of having to putting up a 360 at night defensive position with Donahoe in the middle naturally, I could utilize a 180 and make it stronger because we didn't have to worry about that side of the mountain. So whoever was walking that point, I would say to them, let your ears be your eyes and listen for that waterfall falling. And when you do hear it, let me know immediately. I knew we were going in the right direction. It was so bad at night, we would have to use ropes and tie ourselves off the branches and trees so we wouldn't slide down. There again, we had no food because before we left, I told the guys when I found out we're going to 953, I said to the guys, did you draw chow? And they said, yeah, Jervis, and I got yours over here. I said, well, drop your pack and shitload it. Just throw it away, discard it. I said, now go get all the ammo and claymores and more and laws that you can carry because where we're going to need it. And that's what the guys did. So we had no food. And the only thing we really had was muddy water that we found in the puddles, and that's what we survived on, really coming down. Well, anyhow, this went on day after day after day, and they would challenge us, and we would throw frags. We were getting kind of short on frags, but this one major, he calls me up and he says to me, "Son, this is what you need to do." Okay. He says, you need to mark your map and bury Dono, and we'll come back and retrieve him at another time. I looked at Al and I said, did he say what I think he said? And Al just nodded his head. I took about 3 seconds and first word out of my mouth, sir. And then I read him the riot act. And I told him, Donahoe's our brother. He came with us. He be leaving with us. And I said, sir, again, when I get off this mountain, and we will get off this mountain, I said, I'm going to mark the map and I'm going to bury your sorry ass, sir. And that was the end of that conversation. The thing about it, it rained every single day, and every day they challenged us. And then on the last day, as we're moving down, the rain stops. All of a sudden, the clouds open up. The sun's shining. We're about maybe 60 yards from the base of the valley. And the guys now can see us. And we can see them down here waiting on us, all the other companies. So I said to the guys, well, they missed their opportunity because they ain't going to try us now. We got reactionary down there. They're not going to. And I really and truly believe the one reason that they didn't come. I mean, look, they could have taken us, but they knew they would have had a loss. They knew they lost 3 machine guns up there. They knew they lost 14 plus 7. That's 21 that they lost. So I don't think they wanted a chance at it. And they didn't want to be embarrassed. Now, they knew what company was there. They knew wherever we were in Vietnam, they knew it was golf, it was hotel, it was Fox, it was Echo. Whenever it come to golf, and they used to have these signs in Antana and in Pagoda Valley, they would use the C-Rat carp containers. And they would say, Marines, you die, you come here, you're going to die. Hotel company, in hotel company, you're going to die. So, I mean, and the guys would say to me, Jerry, how do they know it's us? They got 1,000 eyes. We go in how many villages? The radio's going, Hotel One, Hotel One. They know. So they revert back to the NBA and the VC and say, this hotel out here.
You've got this whole situation on Hill 953. You've got the rain, you've got the fog. You're trying to get down this mountain. You've got the NBA tracking you. You guys are slipping and sliding. And you've also got Donahoe's body that you're bringing down.
Yeah.
And then my understanding is right when, right at the end, when you're just about back to the base, some Marines come out and they say, "Hey, we'll take the body the rest of the way." And how did you respond?
Well, like I said, we got about maybe 25 feet from to the base, and the rest of the Marines were running up to us. And the jurors, we'll carry it. I told them, no, you will not. We carried them down. We'll place them on the chopper. And that's exactly what we did. And when we got to the chopper, the crew chief was there, and he situated them. And I looked at him and I said to him, that's my brother. Okay, make sure you take care of that. Because if you don't, I'll find you. And he looked at me and he said, he's my brother too. And we hugged each other.